Hi, I'm Marty, and this is Cooking at the Krause House. Today we have a super special treat. Dave Morales is going to show us how to make Spanish rice. So the thing that makes the Spanish rice super great and restaurant quality is that Dave's family owned a restaurant.
Yep.
Tell us about it, Dave.
So my parents brought Mexican food to Utah Valley. So they opened their restaurant in 1962, just across the street from BYU. It was called El Azteca. And I was an 8th grader when I started cooking.
Oh, gosh.
And so I cooked for many, many years and learned all. I was lucky enough to learn all these really cool recipes. So I don't have a restaurant now, but my kids love to eat what I cook, and I love to cook. So I'm glad Marty invited me.
And so do his friends and neighbors. Love to eat what he cooks. We've made tamales together. We've had his Spanish rice. He is a great cook, and it is so fun to have him here today, and I think that you're gonna really like this recipe. So try it and let me know what you think. Okay, Dave, tell us what's in your Spanish rice.
So in our Spanish rice, we're going to use 2 cups of rice, and usually that'll feed a family of about 6. Obviously, you're going to need double that in liquid, so I like to use chicken broth, and then whatever, if I need any more, I'll just use water. A little bit of oil, just to coat the rice because we're going to toast it and brown it. Some people like to use a lot of oil and then just take the oil out. I just like to coat the rice, and that way I don't have to pull any oil out. A chicken bouillon, which is kind of salty, so we'll go ahead and use that, and then if there's any more salt that we need to it, we'll go ahead and use maybe half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of salt. A clove of garlic, a small, I would say a quarter of a small onion, and then you can use fresh tomatoes, or you can go ahead and use tomato sauce. I like to use tomato sauce. Again, if you use tomatoes, it usually comes out a little pinker. If you use tomato sauce, then you can get the redness that comes in the Spanish rice. So we'll go ahead and use 1 of these. If I need any more, I'll go ahead and open the second one and add a little bit more. And that just depends on the color once I see it.
So it's strictly by color? It's not like how juicy it is? Or
when everything is combined, you're going to have all the liquid in there. That's when you actually go ahead and taste for saltiness.
Oh, okay.
And if there's, if it's, I've never really had it to where it's too tomatoey. Usually if you just go by the color, you'll have the right amount of tomato sauce in there as well.
And this is how you've made it in your restaurant?
Yes, we didn't use fresh tomatoes at our restaurant. That would have been a lot of tomatoes because we did a lot of rice, so we used the tomato sauce.
Okay.
Just to get our liquid ready, so once our rice is toasted, we can just go ahead and use it.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and take an onion and 1 clove of garlic, and then I'm going to use my chicken broth to go ahead and get some liquid in there. And then I'm also going to go ahead and use the chicken bouillon because you can dissolve this in the liquid, or you can just go ahead and throw it in your blender. I like to have it in my blender, that way I don't have to worry about it and try to have it dissolve. And then we'll go ahead and blend this.
Okay.
Marty? All right, and that's fine. And then now that's ready, and we can go ahead and use that once our rice is toasted.
And that's so what? You don't get those big old hunks of onion in there? Or?
Some people like to dice onion, and once their rice is brown, they can go ahead and just put in a little bit of onion, saute it a little bit, and then put in the juice. I don't like onion. My kids don't like onion floating in the rice, so they go ahead. They will never know, and you can still have the flavor.
I like that too. I can eat onion a lot better if I don't have to look at it.
That's what this is. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start on a medium-high, and we're going to go ahead and just go ahead and put our oil in. And we may need just a little bit more. We'll see here in just a sec. And then you just want to make sure your oil gets hot. I may add just a little bit more oil. So when you have your oil and you're waiting for it to get hot, you can see that it'll actually start to get a little wavy. And that's when you know that it's starting to get hot. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
All right, and there's no wrong way. I mean, if it's not hot enough, it will get hot enough. But the trick is here is that once you get your rice in and it is hot, one of the things that you have to do is you have to keep stirring it. You can't just let this rice sit. So if you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to commit to it and make sure that you keep stirring it.
And how you can tell it's enough oil is the rice just looks shiny.
Yeah. So you can see here that it's not a lot of oil. Mm-hmm. You don't have a lot of leftover oil, and you've got it all coated. Okay. So that's about right. If I were to start getting a lot of pooling oil, mm-hmm. then I would want to go ahead and pull some out. And I could have gone a little lighter, but this is fine. This will work just fine. But you can see that your rice is coated.
Mm-hmm. And so do you have to stir it the whole entire time?
Right now it's not hot, but you'll see that once it starts getting warm, you're going to have to go ahead and keep moving it. And one of the things that I try to do is I try to keep it flat so that as much rice is getting some of the heat. But it'll start turning a tan color, and that's kind of what we're trying to get. Yeah.
Can you burn it?
You can, and again, if it starts to where it's kind of getting too brown too fast, pull it off the heat and keep stirring it, and you can still save it. You'd be surprised how brown you can get this rice, and it'll still come out nice and you won't be able to tell once you add all your ingredients and cook it. But again, I like to stop at a nice tan color.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying that you have to commit to it and you have to be here, otherwise it can get away from you pretty quick. That's kind of where we want to be.
It looks delicious. It smells good.
All right, so that's about as, and then once it gets to this kind of a toasted color, mm-hmm. is when I like to go ahead and then start adding my ingredients, and then I'll just try to knock all the rice off the edges, and then turn it down to a medium low, because what's going to happen is you're going to add your tomato sauce to this, mm-hmm. and it's going to really boil. So we're going to go ahead and do that now.
Oh, wow.
And we can rinse it with a little bit of water.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and add that into it. And then we'll go ahead and add what we did in the blender. All right, and then we can turn it back up to medium-high again. Otherwise, if you don't turn it down, it's really going to go everywhere. And so I like to maybe wait 5 minutes or just a couple minutes just so that it soaks up all of that before I add the rest of the liquid.
Oh, okay.
All right, so now I'll go ahead and add the rest of the chicken broth to it. And then stir it around, and here's where now we're going to want to taste for salt.
And what do you think?
I think it's good. I don't think it's going to need any more.
Okay,
You
perfect.
want to grab a spoon?
No, I'm going to trust you on that.
Okay. So once that's done, then we're going to go ahead and cover it and let it boil.
So would you keep it on
Medium high.
medium high?
Yeah, and I'll come in later. So we're gonna leave it on medium high until it boils, and then once the water starts coming down to where it's at the rice, where at the level of the rice, then we're gonna turn it really low and let it just finish cooking off.
Awesome.
All right, Marty. So once the liquid goes down to
Where you can kind of see the
where you
rice.
see the rice, that's when you want to go ahead and turn it down to low.
Okay.
And then just let it simmer. And one of the things that I like to do, and I'll do it here in just a little bit, but as the liquid starts to go down, you can actually pop the lid open and then move it with a spoon just a little, just to kind of see where the liquid is. So you want it to come down, and some people like to turn it off a little sooner because they like it moist. Others like all the liquid to cook out, so they'll go ahead and just keep moving it till there's absolutely no liquid in there at all.
And what's your preference?
I like it a little moist, so I'll go ahead and let there be some juice in there. So you can see here that the moisture is gone.
Oh, yeah.
So then that's when you want to go ahead and just turn it off.
Okay.
And then just move it off and just let it rest. And one of the things I like to do is I like to start this at the beginning of whatever it is that I'm going to be doing, so that I can set it aside and let it rest. By the time everything else is ready, then I can go ahead.
Why do you like it to rest?
Because I just feel that it'll just continue to cook, and it'll be a lot fluffier.
Oh, okay.
And so I just leave the lid on. I tell the kids don't touch it and don't.
So when you're making a meal, you make this first. Oh,
yep.
Good to know.
It's one of the things that obviously I'm working on different things, but this will be done first of everything else that I'm doing. So I kind of try to time it. So this is done about halfway through whatever it is that I'm preparing, and that way it can rest a little bit.
Okay. Well, this is it. It looks delicious and it smells so good too. I'm so glad that Dave would come and share his secret of Spanish rice with us. Try this at home. I think you're gonna love it. It tastes every bit as good as a restaurant, even better. I love when Dave makes Spanish rice and comes to eat at our house. But that's not his only talent. He has lots of them.
Thanks, Marty.
You're so welcome. Thank you everyone for watching. Please watch again next Monday. Please like it, subscribe, share it. Your friends will be thrilled if you share this recipe with them. And we'll see you next time.